All right, Eric, we thank you. Back to you and Meg in just a little bit. That was pretty good outing tonight for UConn at the XL Center in downtown Hartford. 118 points. I mean, that was firing on all cylinders. They're 94-0 now all-time in American Conference regular season games. So you were very effusive on our pregame show saying you thought this was going to be a night where they were going to break out. Yeah. And they did.
Just high-octane offense from early on. You know, early and often, Lou Samuelson has her breakout three to start the game. She only had 2 threes for the game, but that kind of got her going. Then she went in the paint. Good players do other things, so she went in the paint. She rebounded. She did. I think this was such a good breakout game for Lou Samuelson, not only just because she shot well, but understanding let the game come to you, do other things, and then the shots will fall. Great game for her. They got involved early, and I liked the team effort. Everyone was involved in this game, from the bench to the starters. Everybody did something and made an impact on this game, and I think those are the things that make Gino so happy.
25 points out of the bench for you. We'll get to that in just a little bit. They saw a lot of time, and they made the most of the time that they played in tonight's game. But let's go back to Lou for a moment, because you thought that she was going to really break out tonight. I mean, you were really pretty on target from the pregame show, but what was it about Lou? Because you cautioned everybody earlier tonight, no panic here. This is your senior leader. She's going to be fine. Why did you feel that was the case?
Well, because she's a smart player, and good players, great shooters keep shooting, but not only that, great players figure it out, how to get things done. She only played 20 minutes tonight, which is the least amount of minutes we've seen her play, but she was so efficient in the time, 31 points, and she went to the free throw line a lot. The thing about Lou, it shows you with her numbers, 11 for 13 from the free throw line, 5 assists, 8 rebounds, so she wasn't just looking to shoot out of her slump. She was looking to play all-around great basketball, help her team, and then things will come to her. But this is the progression of Lou Samuelson that we've seen over the years. She went from a shooter to a really good basketball player. Things come in motion. She doesn't force anything, so she's rebounding as well as passing and then letting the game come to her.
And you talk about efficiency. How about Napheesa Collier? She did not miss a shot in tonight's game. She had 21 points, made all 10 of her shots. It's the 4th time in Connecticut history that a player has taken at least 10 shots and made them all, and she's done it 2 of the 4 times. Wow. So that's pretty impressive right there. So what about the game that Collier had? Because it's really nothing new. She's been this efficient, not quite 10 for 10, but she's been really good over the course of her last 6 games.
Just steady and consistent, and Gino has a lot of trust and faith that when she goes on the court, good things are going to happen. And again, this is a game. You talk about Lou and Crystal Dangerfield, and then you look at the numbers for Napheesa Collier, and you're like, wow, she was perfect, 21 points. I mean, she just does everything she's supposed to do to help this team, offensively, defensively. I like when she's on the top of the zone. She's got a long kind of length when she's on the top of the press, full court. She's got length, so she's doing things so well as far as rebounding, passing, taking shots in stride. You like how she has the mid-range jumper, but again, I'm going to say it too, because, you know, this is how I roll. 62 points in the paint. It all starts from the inside and works its way out. I think in the game of basketball, I love when they work it inside. 62 points in the paint. Are you kidding me? And a lot of that has to do with Napheesa Collier, with her footwork, getting position, and doing the work before the basketball comes to the post.
You and I have been working together for a number of years now. That's the first time I've ever heard you say, this is how I roll. Really? I didn't know that was in your lexicon. But as a big, that's how you roll, right? You like the bigs to be rewarded. Yes. And she was rewarded tonight, but she did a lot of that herself. I mean, she got the ball, as you say, in a various number of ways tonight. That we saw her in transition, pull up the 12-footer, little floater in the lane. She can step away. She gets the work done on the low block. And that's what I think you like about her as a fellow big.
Yeah, and we said it before, positionless, like as far as the fact that she can play with her back to basket, but she's also like a guard. She can face up, that sort of thing. I mean, you have to remember, she was the last collegiate player to play with USA basketball this summer. She got a lot of experience playing with a lot of versatile basketball players, and she plays like that. She's not pigeonholed into, I'm just a big. She's, you know, good for a big, really good for a guard. She takes advantage of mismatches. They're screening a lot, so she's able to take care of advantage of mismatches, but I just love her overall game. She's done a terrific job this season.
Let's get a look right now. Full game stats. They are presented by People's United Bank, and this one was decided very early at the XL Center. And UConn shot the ball well, and they got good shots tonight. 57% from the field. They owned the glass. 31 fast break points, and they forced 26 turnovers. So those were all big parts of this UConn win. 118-55 over East Carolina. As we head back to Hartford right now, welcome back in Eric Freed and Meg Como. And guys, you know, we spoke spoken so many times in the past about the fact when UConn is going really well, it's a thing of beauty to watch, right? When basketball is played at its highest level and played the right way, it's like a ballet, and that was the way it was in many ways for UConn. 35 assists on 45 made baskets. What does that signal to you guys?
Well, I think it came from the very start. I think Lou Samuelson sets the tone, and I'm so glad you got to us, Gary, because I've had to listen for the last 3.5 minutes to Meg remind me that she predicted that Lou Samuelson would go off here tonight. So congratulations, Meg.
Yes.
But it feels
You're
like
welcome.
It started with her, and the team really fed off that because she truly is one of the leaders of this team.
She is, and along with Lou and the way she played, their defense and their energy, but even just their body language, it was the 180 from Saturday against Cincinnati. And when they play this way, it does look like a ballet in ways, Gary, because they're just so smooth and effortless, and they make it look easy.
Guys, 25 points from the bench tonight. Do you think the bench took a step forward and gained some trust for Gino, or was it just who they were playing against? They were able to do these things. Do you think they took a step forward?
For now, it's a step forward, Kara. You know, I think a lot of it was because of who they played against. They were clearly playing an overmatched ECU team. But as far as Gino, you know, the only way, as you know, Kara, the only way you earn his trust is game in and game out. So they're going to have to do the same, if not better, against Temple on Saturday.
Well, and Karen and Meg know full well it's not game in and game out only. It's practice. You know, like that's how you can always tell who had a good week in practice. Like if there's a DNP next to your name and you're a bench player, like we've seen with a couple of players. But you saw some little things. You saw, like you said, Michaela Coombs' a little spring in her step. You know, she can bring a little energy off the bench if she can bring it consistently. I think, and we always joke during the game when we're watching Gino talk and get frustrated sometimes. Maybe it's a little thing like Olivia Nelson-Adota. She gets a rebound and then somebody knocks it out of her hands. Like he wants to say, no, you cannot let that happen. Like I think it's like on the micro with the bench instead of like, well, it felt like they played well. I think he's just looking for specific stuff with everybody.
And he's consistent. You know, he wants them to do the same thing all the time, and he doesn't want the level of play to drop off too much when he puts those bench players in. And this year, that's a little bit of a struggle. I don't think that's realistic this year.
All right, guys. And Meg, just so you know, we have a chart here in the office, and it's noted that you did predict that Katie Lou would break out tonight.
I appreciate that.
He was calling you Meg Stradamus.
I'm patting her on her back because she's been patting herself on the back for the last half hour.
I can't reach.
She's just sore from patting herself on the back.
I understand. All right, guys. We'll see you on Saturday.
Thanks, guys. Great to see you.
Thanks.
Meg and Eric with the call for us tonight here on SNY. Listen, not to get lost in this, a couple of other people who certainly demand recognition, Crystal Dangerfield, and as everybody was saying and Gino was saying, everything sort of runs through her, right? And it started right from the beginning. She had a dozen points. She had a dozen assists, which is a new career high for her. And maybe as important as the 12 assists, she didn't turn the ball over. And when a point guard does that, that's a really good night.
That is the number that stuck out to me. To share the basketball so well and then not turn it over at all, that's impressive. And you know what I liked, Gary? He gave her the green light to shoot. He said, Crystal, you're a great distributor, but we also want you to shoot the basketball. And I feel like a couple games back, she was shooting almost too much. She was like, okay, I have the green light. Let me put this team on my back and shoot. Well, tonight, I really felt the kind of, it was distributing the basketball. It was shooting. Nothing was forced. She was like, all right, this is the rhythm. This is the flow of the game, and I'm going to lead it. The point guard is an extension of your coach on the floor, and boy, Crystal Dangerfield takes that role seriously. So she didn't try to overshoot. And some of the passes, beautiful, but she did exactly what a good point guard does tonight.
Well, it's a fine line, right? Understanding when to do what on the floor, when to shoot it, when to set up your team. I think we saw a really good example of that when she was coming down the lane and she looked like she was going to take it to the hoop, and she spotted Katie Lou, sort of an over-the-shoulder pass, and got it to her inside for the layup. I mean, she understands, we talk about floor balance sometimes. She really understands that extremely well.
Well, and her basketball IQ is so high.
Yes.
And she just sees the floor well. You just assume a point guard sees the floor well. That's not necessarily the case. You can see, like, as soon as as she gets the ball, the eyes are up, she sees, and then that also comes with chemistry and trust in your teammates. There was a pass where she led Lou Samuelson like right to the basket. She didn't pass to where Katie was, she passed to where she knew she was going. So that's all chemistry developing still. You know, at this point in the season, you say, well, isn't that developed? Well, not necessarily, because the bench isn't solidified as far as who's coming to help. So they're constantly growing, and I love the way she reads Katie Lou and Nafisa and the rest of the players and puts the ball where it needs to go.
Nobody's been more scrutinized. I mean, certainly Katie Lou has in some ways, but Kristen Williams, the freshman, got up to such a great start, had that huge game early in the season against Notre Dame, but she has really been struggling. I think a major step forward tonight. She had those 15 points and shot it pretty well, 6 of 10, made 2 from beyond the arc. So how do we look at this game for her? Is this like, all right, let's be cautious here. There's consistency that needs to be found, or this was a great step for her, and I think she's going to take off from here. How do you see it?
I don't know. Are you Gino, or are you the positive half glass full kind of person?
Well, how do you roll, Kara?
How do I roll?
Yes, this is what we know tonight. How do you roll?
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
Put it that way. Great game for her. She looked confident. There were opportunities at the end of the shot clock to shoot some threes at the end of the game, but like Megan said, part of this is who you're playing against, you know? So you don't want to get a false sense of security for herself, for Gino in her, but you liked that she didn't hesitate taking those shots. She looks more confident, and I think she's getting that in practice, and it's something that's going to have to build. She needs to gain Gino's trust. Right now, it's an inconsistent roller coaster, which happens as a freshman. At this point in the season, you hope that she doesn't act like a freshman anymore, but she is there. Good step forward. You wanted to continue to build on this. We'll see what happens Saturday. If she can put good back-to-back games together, I think that will be a big sigh of relief for her, and Gino saying that she's on her way.
And get her going into that South Carolina game coming up next Monday. She's going to be very important in that game. So we're just getting going here. People's United Bank post-game show. UConn wins big, 118-55 over East Carolina. We're going to hear from Katie Lou Samuelson. When we come back, she led everybody in the game. Plus, we'll hear from the Hall of Famer, Gino Auriemma. His post-game address to the media is on the way.
The UConn Women's Basketball Postgame Show is presented by People's United Bank. See what know-how can do for you.
The 11-time national champions, the UConn Huskies, big winners tonight over East Carolina. They go to 20-2 on the season, 9-0 in the American Conference. 5 Huskies in double figures, led by Katie Lou Samuelson. She had 31. A few minutes ago, she spent some time with Justine Ward.
Katie Lou, you had 31 points. You were 9 of 11 from the field. Why were the shots falling for you today?
They were in rhythm. They were in our offense, our transition really in. I think, you know, it's been caught up on the 3, and so I was focusing on doing everything else today, and everything seemed to go my way.
Gino talked a lot about your transition game. How does the defensive end energize you guys on the offensive end?
It's huge for us. You know, we get our best offense when we're going in transition, and the only way we can do that is if we play that high-intensity defense, and we were all locked in, all ready to go on the same page today.
Gino also talked about someone needing to set the tone. How did Crystal Dangerfield do that for your offense?
She pushed it from the very beginning, and, you know, she gets the ball wherever it needs to be, exactly when it needs to be. And, you know, a lot of times you just have to be ready because the passes come out of nowhere. And when she's, you know, delivering the ball like that and pushing it as fast as she can, we're probably the best that we can be.
Why was this such a necessary right step in the direction for your offense as a whole?
You know, just making sure we set the tone from now on. We got to be ready to play no matter who we're coming out to, and prepare so that we can be ready no matter, you know, what kind of game we're in.
Thank you, Katie Lou.
Thank you.
31 points, 8 rebounds for the senior.
All right, Justine and Katie Lou, we thank you both. And then we're discussing defense right there, right? We have so much talk about the offense with 118 points, but they forced 26 turnovers in the game, and they had 34 points off those turnovers. So they're at their best, right, when defense leads to offense.
Absolutely, and that's been one of the things missing from this team this season. I mean, compared to last season where they got a bulk of their points in transition, defense leading to offense because they had Gabby Williams, Kia Nurse. They don't really have that this year, but when they buckle down and play defense together, as a team, collectively, I felt like they had active hands, active feet on defensive end. They got in passing lanes. They stole the ball. There were so many good things happening on the defensive end, and that sparked their transition. And Crystal Dangerfield's just been pushing the ball extremely well in transition. So all you need is that little step ahead, get the ball in the passing lane, and they're off to the races.
Are they still trying to find their defensive identity?
A little bit, because they do some trapping up front. Gino switched with a 2-3 zone and then a man, 5 red, 5 blue. Those are like a full court or a matchup press, and then one's like a sagging. So he said he's had to throw some, as he calls it, junk defense in a lot of different ways, because Olivia Nelson-Ododa, different defense when she goes in, and then stuff when they're pressing. I like, if you notice, that Nafisa's up top in the press. I mean, Crystal's back, she's up top because they want that length, and she's able to do that. She's able to move her feet enough to be with the guards. But that's a lot of effort, too, when you think how many minutes she plays and that she's playing the full court. She's not just playing down one end. They put a lot of energy into their defense. It pays off on the offensive end. But when you have players playing 40 minutes a game, it's tough to do sometimes. So Gino's had to kind of switch up the defenses.
UConn shot under 40% last time out against Cincinnati. They shot much better tonight at 57%. Big part of the 118-55 win over East Carolina. And when we come back, we're going to hear more from the Hall of Famer, the head coach, Gino Auriemma. He addresses the media at the XL Center. Plus, we'll take a look at what lies ahead for the Huskies, who now have 20 wins on the season. Back in a moment. Let's check out right now. Look at tonight's rebounding leaders. It is Lighting Up the Boards, presented by Connecticut Lighting Centers. And what else did Katie Lou Samuelson do well tonight? She hit the glass. She led everybody on the UConn side with 8 rebounds. We're back in a moment. Time now for the drive of the game. It is presented by Subaru. UConn on the break, and what a great touch pass right there from Katie Lou Samuelson to Crystal Dangerfield. And again, that's so unselfish, Kara.
It's unselfish and it's smart. You like how she gets up there. That was a volleyball pass.
Yes, it was. It is the drive of the game. It is presented by Subaru. UConn had played 14 of their previous 21 games on the road this season. Good to be back home. They had gotten a little bit tired. I think everybody admitted that. Different story tonight. Great energy back in their building. Here's the Hall of Famer, the head coach, Gino Auriemma, his post-game address to the media.
Gino, can you just talk about the effort that Lou played with today? I mean, she broke out of her little offensive slump just by hustling all over the court.
Yeah, it's funny how, you know, if you put yourself out there and start playing basketball, things kind of have a way of working out, you know. I always say that if we're shooting free throws poorly, you know, we might go a week and not shoot any free throws at all during practice, because all you're doing is practicing missing, because you're already in a bad frame of mind. And then all of a sudden they start going in. So I think sometimes shooters, they get obsessed then, why is it not going in? And they just keep at it and keep at it and keep at it. And all they do is get more frustrated because they can't get it to go in. So if you just forget about that part of your game and just do a bunch of other stuff, then all of a sudden the other stuff kind of fills in the gap, and, you know, start knocking in a couple shots. So, you know, this is, you have to be a basketball player, not I'm a basketball shooter. And I think, you know, a lot of our guys tonight, they played basketball. They didn't just stand around waiting for a shot. And Lou especially, you know. She had 27 points in the first half. She made 2 threes. That's like unheard of back in the day for her. It's a good sign.
Gino, you talked about, you know, looking for opportunities to get Crystal some rest, and Lou as well. So you were able to do that and also get the production that they gave you. You know, that had to be good, you know, good feeling, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I wanna be fair. You know, I want to be fair to the guys on the team. You know, I want Lou and Crystal and Fisa and those guys. I want them to get the minutes that they need to stay sharp. And at the same time, you know, I want to see, you know, can we get anything out of anybody else down the road? That might be a big factor, you know. But in terms of like minutes and stuff like that, you know, so you're wearing out your guys. They played too many minutes. I checked the other day in the newspaper. There's like 40 guys in the NBA playing like over 32 minutes, and they play 100 games a year. Coach, I'm going to be tired if I play 32 minutes every night for 5 months. Seriously? I feel bad for you. I mean, so I don't think it's like they need a breather because they're tired. I think what they need is they need to be able to sit down on the bench and look at the game and see some things that they can't see from being out there. That is the biggest benefit of not being out on the court nonstop. So if I can do that on a more regular basis, that would be great. That would be great. And tonight was a good way to do that. We sprinkled in all those other guys little by little, you know, and they all did their part. You know, they all did a little something. They all did a little something. And every once in a while, they surprise you, you know. Yesterday, you know what we worked on? Yesterday, we were working on some offensive stuff, and we had a great first hour of practice, and then the next 15 minutes, we couldn't complete a pass. It's just like, it's like all of a sudden, like, we only threw it to the other team. And it was the same guys a lot of times. We only threw it to the other team. So I came up with an offense where we didn't have to pass it, and we ran it for about 15 minutes. We just gave the ball to one guy and said, stand here, all right? And everybody else, stand here, 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 and here. Listen, you play one-on-one. I said, we're going to do that the entire game for every game the rest of the season. And they got pissed. And, you know, sometimes they just, they realize how easy this game is. It's not a hard game. That guy has the same color shirt as I do, so I'm going to throw it to them. Wait, there's a guy with a hand in front of it? Okay, maybe I'll throw it to that guy instead. How's that hard? Never understood that.
You talk about the job. How great is that? Doesn't seem that hard, but it's harder than it looks, is it not?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
UConn made it look easy tonight. They scored 118 points. We'll look at what lies ahead for the Huskies when we come right back.
The UConn Women's Basketball Postgame Show is presented by People's United Bank. See what know-how can do for you.
Time now for a look at the upcoming schedule. The next two games for the Huskies going to be at home. Temple and South Carolina lie ahead, followed by a road game against Central Florida, and then home against Memphis, and then back on the road for Tulsa. And you can catch UConn's next game right here on SNY. The Huskies play host to Temple at Gamble Pavilion on Saturday. Kara and myself go to get set for all the action. The UConn women's basketball pregame show beginning at 12:30, and then tip-off from Gamble right about 1 o'clock. And so that is going to wrap up our coverage of UConn women's basketball on this night. 118-55 is the final. Big win tonight over East Carolina. Good night for the Huskies, and a good night for us because we got out of this night that this is how Kara rolls.
Yes, it is. And I think building on this game is really important coming up.
For Kara Walters, I'm Gary Apple. We thank you for joining us. We say so long from New York City. Good night.